Thank you for tuning in. In today's chapter, we are going to learn a couple ways that we can analyze the often misunderstood craft of acting. In many ways, an analysis of film acting is the hardest thing you could do in a film studies course because what constitutes good acting isn't consistent from person to person. Often, what people consider to be good or bad acting is very subjective. To complicate things further, many actors are known to play a large variety of roles, adopting mannerisms and behaviors to the demands of the screenwriter. And not all performances carry the same weight, not to mention changing audiences' tastes over time. So is there even a good way that we can measure or analyze acting? Before we actually look at some examples, there are some pointers from the textbook that are worth keeping in mind. As evidenced by the style of acting seen in many historical plays and musicals, the expected manner of performance was different than that of today. When actors from the stage migrated over to film, they brought their classical theatrical discipline to Hollywood. Technology played, and still plays, a part in how actors perform for an audience. If you think taking a selfie for Instagram or Snapchat is difficult today, imagine how it would have been like to film on a camera like this. This is a film camera that is housed in a camera blimp, so that the sound of the camera did not bleed into the microphone. Early cameras made a lot of sound. Directors lost a lot of sleep in the early days, marrying the film's sound to the picture. But back to acting. Before a film class, you might have used words like good and or bad to define an actor's performance. Nothing wrong with that at all. But it might be simpler to create new categories of description for what we call acting to facilitate comparative analysis. Here are just a few of the words that I like to use. One way that your textbook differentiates modes of acting is to look closely at two of these arbitrary categories and think about how they relate to performance. One is non-naturalistic, which I like to call presentational, and another is naturalistic, which I like to call subtle. This might seem like an algebraic way of looking at art, but it does give us some powerful words to use here that might make our analysis more clear, and to give justice to those actors on screen who painstakingly create those characters that educate and entertain us. So again, naturalistic styles tend to feel more like real life, whereas non-naturalistic styles tend to feel larger than life. Neither is good nor bad. You just have to consider what is appropriate to the film that you are watching. This sketch is taken from a book on the French Revolution, the art made many, many years after the historical event. As you can see, even historical sketches and portraits depict true-to-life events in a very dramatized fashion. Drama and language are tied to culture. And the culture of movies sometimes is about over-exaggerating or over-presenting emotions. Howard Hawks' His Girl Friday, which is a staple of the classic film era, might seem dated in our eyes. But acting style apropos to the time period and commentary on gender roles of Americans living in the 1940s gives it value beyond its surface-level levity. When we look back at this film today, we marvel at how the film is brilliant for its long, uninterrupted takes and how rapid-fire the actors deliver their lines to comedic effect.
I bet you there's a Hildy Johnson cigar. You can see the billboards now. It says, light up with Hildy Johnson.
Wow, will you stop that acting? We got a lot to do.
In the musical Till the Clouds Roll By, we can see an acting style that is also presentational, very big and over the top. But it's definitely appropriate for a musical. The performances are scripted, rehearsed, polished to perfection, but also might even be more presentational than other contemporary drama films of the same era. Film acting and film stories today are centered on the individual experience and on this conscious catering to the viewer's pleasure. We might say that modern films beg to capture reality as we experience it, depicting actors that perhaps aren't even acting at all, just being. What we tend to get when we go to the movies is an acting style that doesn't draw attention to the fact that it is acting. In summary, acting is a craft that is perhaps easy to talk about, but difficult to analyze. On screen, actors depict characters and lives that seem similar to our experiences in life. Most viewers have a pre-existing fan relationship with an actor that they like. This definitely helps with believability. On the other hand, what is the best way to communicate to somebody else what your thoughts are on somebody's acting style? Opinions on what good acting is very subjective. There are many, many different approaches to acting and to analyzing acting. When you watch today's film, or any other film for this class, ask yourself, is the film's acting natural or not? Is the acting style appropriate to the film that you're watching? These are the questions that are the most important when you're analyzing an actor's performance or forming an opinion about an actor and character in any given film. Thanks for listening.